fired from my job, but received a year's worth of pay and got my boss fired. This happened in the early 2010s, before the advancement of technology in video editing and content creation. I was hired as a content creator for a university that wanted to leverage YouTube to kickstart their branding campaign. The pay was low, roughly $2,200, and in those days, there weren't that many video content creators around. The process usually took a long time from start to finish. I was hired and, on my second day, my manager presented my key performance indicator, 85 videos, each between 3 to 10 minutes long in 52 weeks, which was absolutely impossible for a one-man team back then. This meant I had to do the scripting, producing, casting talents, shooting videos, composing music, because they were too cheap to pay for a royalty-free music subscription, and editing, all of which I had to do using my own equipment and software, because their cameras and computers were so outdated, they couldn't even handle basic editing in 720p, much less 1080. I tried to explain this to my manager, but she just smiled encouragingly, told me to give it a try, and assured me that if the videos were good, she wouldn't focus on the quantity. Hearing this, I agreed to try. My manager treated me well during the first month, but one day, when she found out I was a smoker, her attitude changed overnight. A colleague actually did a facepalm when I told her about it, and warned me that the manager hated smokers and often tried to get them fired. Sure enough, she started nitpicking everything, me smelling like smoke after breaks, arriving 5 to 10 minutes late despite doing over 4 hours of overtime daily, being unavailable during break time. The list goes on, but I soldiered on because I just wanted to do the work and do it well. 5 months in, I was called into the director's office. My manager was already there, putting on her best, displeased but gleeful, face, and I felt my stomach drop. The director said she was disappointed. She had heard that I was falling behind on work, and since the year was halfway through, I had only completed 30 out of the 85 videos. I tried to explain that I had been working my butt off, 6 days a week, over 60 hours just to get things done, and that being a one-man army made the target impossible. Plus, the videos I did make had grossed the highest views ever on their YouTube page. I reminded them that my manager had said she cared about quality over quantity. The director dismissed it, saying the key performance indicator was 85 videos in a year. Since I was behind, she felt it was time to cut the cord early. I asked, "How will you meet the key performance indicator now?" And my manager snorted and said, "We'll find a professional production house to finish your work." The director gave her an odd look but nodded, saying, "You don't need to worry. Manager will get the job done." And that was when a light bulb went off in my head. Since I was the content lead in the office, one of my jobs had been to maintain a database of production houses we could use for bigger shoots, and I knew my manager had no industry contacts, so she'd be relying on my list. So I changed all the contact numbers and messed up the emails for every entry in the database, except one. That one was a production house where my friend worked as a junior director, not an assistant director, but a director for smaller, scale video projects. I gave him a call and told him my plan. Sure enough, within 2 days, they were contacted and invited to pitch. I explained that this could be a win-win. Bringing in this much business would fast track his promotion, and in return, they'd pay me a standard finder's fee, 15%. He agreed instantly. He put me on the phone with his general manager. Once he realized this was 6 months of work for a high 6-digit payout, he drew up a contract immediately. I gave them a metaphorical step-by-step playbook on exactly how to pitch to win over my boss and the director, and guess what? They were the perfect fit. Somehow, they seemed to understand the university's vision, content style, and branding themes right from the start. The director and my former boss were amazed. They signed my friend's production house on the spot. Now, even back then, hiring a production house wasn't cheap. Each video cost double or triple my monthly salary. But they had a full team: producer, director, director of photography, gaffer, sound tech, video editor, assistant director, production assistants, and more. This meant they could finish a video every 2 to 3 days. So yes, they produced 50 videos in 4 months, costing the university more than 100 months of my salary. I, meanwhile, sat back and collected my 15%, which came out to around 15 months of my salary. It was enough to take a holiday and pay for advanced film studies at a respected school overseas. I thought my revenge story ended there, but then I got a call from the same colleague who had facepalmed about the smoking thing. I was on holiday in Bali when she told me. My former manager had been fired, and the director, she got absolutely blasted by the chancellor. Turns out, the content project I was hired for had only been allocated a budget equivalent to 1.5 years of my salary, but my manager blew through over 10 times that amount. She was so desperate to complete the project and prove herself to the director, she approved the massive spending without getting clearance, and got herself fired in the process. So that's how I helped my friend get a super fast promotion to full director, scored a year of pay after getting unfairly fired, and torched 2 careers in the process, just by knowing exactly how to play the game.